Now, a word about animals on the Mark Thompson Show.
How about a warm welcome for the founder of Dawn Watch, the worldwide news, which is found at dawnwatch.com. Also a very active Facebook community. You can sign up for the newsletter, which is what I do, and kind of get regular, I guess, updates on what's going on in the world of animals. Here is Karen Dawn, everybody. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Karen. Hello. Boy, there's so much going on. I like that you're covering some of this. I thought of you when that Native American thing hit about whaling, the macaw thing. Oh, it just gutted me, you know. It's like, you know, I talked about it on the show. I was really
bless you. I had a letter in the New York Times about that, which basically was like a 3-line letter, which said, of course, it's important to respect macaw traditions, but we also have to respect the whale's right to live and respect our rights the rights of most of us to want to protect the whales and enjoy their lives, and also respect the rights of society to have animal welfare laws, which it's pretty much guaranteed that the killing of a whale with the traditional harpoon methods can't match. And so I suggested that the macaw, really, it is time for them to find another way to celebrate or commemorate their long history of hunting whales, because theirs isn't the only right.
There is an expiration date on tradition, depending on the tradition. And the cruelty, the unmitigated cruelty is unacceptable. And the idea somehow that there could be any agency that would greenlight this, as you say, it flies in the face of basic humanity, which is hard to come by these days, basic humanity. And these are highly social creatures and majestic creatures, and already up against boat strikes and all the other ways that they can be taken out. And an increasingly noisy environment. They work on that, don't they? They work on sonar and sound, this kind of thing, that they have all these abilities. And it's a cluttered cacophony of stuff down there now, with all of those shipping lanes and all the rest. And now you're going to let
fishing gear.
Yes, fishing gear. Thank you. And now you're going to let the macaws go after them. I'm sorry. I mean, the macaws could have taken the high ground and really, you know, they could have gotten me on their side. But guess what? Guess who's an anti-macaw now? That's right. You're looking at him.
And this leads us in so beautifully to something I wanted to talk about today. I was quite nervous talking about it today, but then thanks to, is it Cenk from the Young Turks? He just completely warmed me up on this issue, and I don't feel like I have to be alone against your audience on my issues with Biden. I wanted to chat about my friend Lou Regenstein had a Wall Street Journal op-ed that came out on Friday. And it's called, "What Does Biden Have Against Gray Whales?" Exactly. And it's to do with the fact that they're allowing this macaw hunt. But the op-ed goes through various anti-animal and anti-environmental rulings and issues that the Biden administration has taken the wrong stance on. And for me, there's one in particular that it mentions just briefly, Prop 12. But this is an issue that is the issue that got me into the animal rights movement. So my concerns about the Biden administration are not new. And I've been I felt like me against the world, telling animal people that we have a problem here. And thank heavens for that awful debate, because now I'm not the only one who's saying we have a problem here with Biden, because there's a good chance we're going to get Trump if we run him. So that, of course, as Cenk mentioned, is not something that anybody who cares about the earth and animals wants. But what most people don't know, and I think, Mark, you might not even know this until I pointed out to you this morning, is that from the animal's perspective, it isn't only that Trump is bad. I'm well aware most people eat meat, and I'm also well aware that most people do not particularly want the animals who they're eating tortured for their entire lives. And that was proven in California when we had first Prop 2 and then Prop 12 a few years later, which firmed up the situation. And I was a spokesperson on Prop 2, official spokesperson. And what that did was ban what's called cell gestation crates. And these are something which I learned about. I mentioned these got me into the animal rights movement. I was always somebody who cared about animals. I was sort of veggie-ish. And I remember so well arriving home in my apartment in New York one week and having in my mailbox a photo of a pig in a cage, where it's an individual, and I can only describe it as a coffin-sized crate. And she spends pretty much her entire life in there. It's called a gestation crate. It's from the time she is impregnated, which is rape of a sort. She is in that crate, which is too small for her to turn her around in. She cannot turn around for her entire life. She cannot lie down with her legs outstretched. It is a long, narrow crate, and all she can do is take a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back, and bite on the bars as she's going mad. I remember when I first saw this photo, I thought, oh, God, that's just horrible. But, I just knew those crazy animal rights activists had found some farm in Denmark somewhere that's doing this, and they're trying to convince us that this is typical. Well, then I read Animal Liberation, and I started reading more literature, and I got the awful news that this was the way that most breeding sows on American farms were kept in the second half of the 20th century. And that actually got me into the animal rights movement. I thought it's one thing to know that people eat meat, and I wish they didn't, but as far as I had known, animals were on farms, and there was that one bad day thing. And of course, it was a much worse day than anybody ever needs to have, and I don't want to support it. But when I learned that animals actually lived in crates, I decided to devote my life to trying to make a difference, because I really got that while I cared about human issues, there just were not any group of humans on the planet who had it as horrendously bad as animals did by the millions and millions and millions, and that our society was built on this kind of cruelty. And we find that when people learn about these crates, they're not okay with them. They don't want them. Now, when I say people, the majority of people, because when California voted on this, 2/3 of Californians voted to get rid of them. And that was despite the pork industry running a massive campaign saying that, the price of pork was going to go up, and eggs as well. There's also the same campaign banned battery cages for hens. And Californians said, yes, we don't mind paying more for meat if our animals aren't tortured for their entire lives. And not only did 2/3 of people vote for this in California, but it got the most yes votes of any proposition in California history.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah,
there had never been a proposition that had as many yes votes as Prop 2. And then
that
Prop
does
12.
speak to how people want less cruelty on their plate. Yeah, go
Absolutely. Ahead. So, very sadly, of course, the pork industry tried to fight this, and they lost in California, so they took it all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. And very sadly is that the Biden administration, who could have just stayed out of it, actually backed the pork industry in their fight against the will of the Californian people to ban meat that comes from farms that keep these pigs in crates. And it is the majority of farms that do that. So California banning them did mean basically we had the opportunity to get rid of this hideous practice, because California is the 5th largest economy in the world. So the Biden administration actually stepped in to side with the pork industry against the people of California in order to keep pigs in crates. Now, because, as I said, this is the issue that got me into the movement, it was a deal breaker for me. And it meant that, I lost personally, couldn't support Biden. Dawn Watch, the organization, is absolutely apolitical, and it's not like Trump is great on animals. So we're not pretending, you should go and
the first thing
Trump.
that Trump did in the first 2 weeks of his administration was roll back the Endangered Species Act. Yes.
But now, as this, I mentioned that Lou Regenstein had this article in the Wall Street Journal, which I was hoping that you guys might just show what the piece looks like, and I hope people might go and
Tony,
take a look at
it, please?
But
did you not get it, Tony? Do you have it? Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Didn't want to show it, I guess, but
I don't know. Tony would show it if he could, I'm sure. I mean,
okay. I know it's not. That's not. It's a little distracting to have the video going, so I'll just talk about it. It's fine, but I will ask people to Google the Wall Street Journal article. What does Biden have against gray whales? Because we'll find that Biden has done similar things with wolves, endangered wolves, supporting moves to get them delisted. So both of these options are pretty awful when it comes to animals. So and before Thursday's debate, nobody wanted to hear that Biden was bad on animals because he was our one chance not to have Trump back. But to me, Thursday's debate was almost a relief because, okay, I'm not the only one who's saying, I had true doubts about Biden winning. And now it's like, maybe I'm allowed to let people know how bad he is on animals because it might encourage people to get behind a candidate who's actually good on them. And so that's just, I would love people to check out this piece in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I think it's behind a paywall. It's looking to me like it's behind a paywall. That's probably the reason that Tony can't put it up. But in any case,
I'm so sorry to hear that because I could have definitely sent you guys a
yeah, that's okay. Moving on.
And I'm going to put it up on. I just want to say I'm going to put it up on a GIF link on the Dawn Watch Facebook page.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So the Dawn Watch Facebook page. Yeah, it's a complicated thing. I'm not a big Joe Biden fan on a bunch of issues either. I don't know that it extends to, and as I say, I will run to the polls and vote for Joe Biden if he's the guy who's top of ticket. I don't give a damn what his position was. I don't give a damn about it. So but I in fact, I adore the fact that you expose the realities because that's the only way that he'll change and those in the Democratic Party will change. So it takes nothing away from how much I adore the fact that you bring this to light. I find it repulsive. I find it repulsive that the Democratic Party top of ticket and his administration would in any way sanction or countenance this. And you know what it is? It's money. It's because the powerful ag lobby got to the administration as well. And we fight that, as you know, in factory farming and in a lot of other different aspects of the animal rights movement. But that's what it is.
It's something else as well. It is that they know they can get away with it. And something else I sent over is an article I had in the Progressive magazine a few years ago called Making Animal Protection a Political Issue. And I would love to see animal people take a stand and not tell people to shut up when they're saying that Biden's really, really awful on animals because we'll get Trump instead. But to be willing to say we really care about animal issues, they really matter, and we're not going to overlook how you are in animals. But historically, politicians know that they can get away with doing almost anything. They can't shoot their dog, but they can.
Yeah, but when you say get away with it, it's not just I don't do things just because I get away with it. I do things because I'm incentivized to do them, and then I can do them because I can get away with it. So they have to be incentivized in some way, and that incentive is in the corrupt, completely. I have to say it's a crime-ridden system that permits pay to play. It permits big ag money to drive legislation. So in any case, but
I'm not saying that's not true. I'm saying there are ways around it that don't necessarily have to do with money. And in this article, Making Animal Protection a Political Issue, what I talk about, and that's it, and it's still on the Progressive website. It's not a new article, but it's funny. This article came out just after Chris Christie did almost exactly what Joe Biden just did, and it was less of a surprise with Chris Christie. But Chris Christie's legislature voted overwhelmingly, over 90% of them, completely bipartisan, to ban gestation crates in New Jersey. And because Iowa, Christie was getting ready to run for president, and Iowa is isn't the first primary state. Right. The governor of Iowa got on the phone to him, and Christie actually vetoed his whole legislature's vote, and this was a bipartisan vote on the ban on gestation crates. And when Biden said that happened just before I wrote that article, and I talk about that. So it's so funny that, gosh, it's almost a decade later. Here we are again with Biden having done the same thing because he knew.
Yeah, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I like that article that you wrote for a lot of other reasons. So I would encourage people to read it. I mean, you can just go.
And something it mentions is that, and when you're talking about the money isn't the only issue, it's also votes. And it's so funny that the NRA, of course, are generally not the friends of animal people, but I do argue in that article that we might want to start modeling ourselves on them a little bit, in that the reason they have the power they have isn't massive donations. It's that every politician knows that if the NRA comes out against you, you do not have a hope in a swing state. And that's why no matter Democrats, Republicans are never, ever going to come out in a swing state strongly against guns, because in those states where a few percent of the vote goes one way or the other, the NRA has that few percent of the vote, and it's enough to swing the whole election. And if only animal people would start saying, you know what, you're not going to get my vote if you veto, if you go up against California, and against the will of the people of California in order to back the pork industry and keep pigs in gestation crates. That's how things will change. And Mark, I absolutely respect what you're saying. I'd vote for him no matter what, because Trump's our alternative. You need to dislike Trump that much. I get it. You care about many, many issues, including animals, and I'm really glad you care about animals. But for those of us who care passionately about animals and devote our lives to them, we've got to stop overlooking the kind of things that go on, and make it clear that people can't just assume they're getting our votes because the other guy's really bad as well. And that's what also Lou's article is about, that it's not saying go vote for Trump, or that anybody who cares about our animals is going to go vote for Trump. It's suggesting that people who vote for animals, who care about animals and the environment and whales, and certainly what happened with the gestation crates, will stay home if the Democrats send in somebody who has actually shown such antipathy to our issues. It's not the usual apathy.
You always wonder what issue moves the meter to either get them to the polls or to keep them home. So don't want to say, but I like the fact. In fact, that's what activism should do. It should motivate votes and voting blocks. And I think you make a really good point. So,
well, what Dawn Watch, the whole purpose of Dawn Watch isn't to tell people what to do. And again, it certainly isn't to tell people how to vote, and not telling people to stay home, though I'm open to saying I'm excited about the possibility of somebody good on animals possibly going onto the ticket. But what Dawn Watch does is try to get the media to cover animal issues well, so that people can make informed choices in line with their values. And the fact that the media barely covered that the Biden administration filed this brief in favor of the pork industry against California is exactly the sort of problem that Dawn Watch hopes to overcome. And I love you for giving me the opportunity to just mention this to the folks on your show, so that they know that the Biden administration has shown a real antipathy to basic farmed animal welfare.
Yeah,
May I close on a happy note?
Please do it quickly. We're very late.
There is the most gorgeous. Margaret Renkel is one of my heroes, and you and I have discussed her work before on these segments, and I've had you read bits of her work about the turtles. She has a piece in the New York Times. It'll probably be in print tomorrow. It's online today, and it's already on the Dawn Watch Facebook page, called Enough with the Fireworks Already. And it's about the extraordinary damage that fireworks do to not only to our pet dogs and the amount who run away on July 4th, and some of them get hit by cars and the rest of them are trembling in the bathroom, but also to wildlife. And while this is sad stuff, the way she writes about it is so beautiful, and to have it in the New York Times is a real blessing. So
you put the link there. Maybe we can put that up too, Tony. I don't know. I know
it's on my It's on my Facebook page, the top of which is Dawn Watch Inc. There it is. It's the top article, and I have taken it out from behind the paywall. I've put the gift link up there.
Great.
And I will today also put the gift link up to the Wall Street Journal article, just so people can know a little bit more and make informed choices in line with their values, not mine.
Lots of good stuff. Appreciate that, Karen. DawnWatch.com. And also, it sounds like Facebook is a great place to kind of check out a lot of different stuff that you can click through to. And you've made a lot of provocative points here, and I appreciate it. I think you've exposed a lot of realities that need to be exposed. So always a good visit. Karen Dawn. Thanks, Karen.
Join the flock. Again next time for A Word About Animals on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.